What if the secret to earning deep respect and attracting the right people has nothing to do with being agreeable? True value is not demonstrated by saying yes to everyone, but by knowing when to say no with calm, unshakable confidence. This is the art of setting powerful boundaries. How high-value men set clear boundaries, compiled and published by Stoic Dominion. Lesson 1. Core values define personal boundaries. Imagine a master architect designing a magnificent, unbreachable fortress. His first action is not to pile up stones or dig a moat. His first action is to survey the land and drive massive foundational pillars deep into the bedrock. These pillars, invisible once the fortress is complete, are what will give the entire structure its shape, its strength, and its integrity. Without them, the highest walls would crumble under the first attack. Your personal boundaries are the walls of your inner fortress. But the pillars, the bedrock upon which those walls must be built, are your core values. This is the inner conflict so many of us face. We try to set boundaries without a clear foundation. We say no in one situation, but yes to a similar one a day later, acting like a chameleon that changes its colors to fit its surroundings. This creates a profound identity crisis. Who are we if our principles are constantly shifting? Our boundaries feel arbitrary, inconsistent, and they crumble easily under pressure because they are not anchored to anything real. The problem is that we are trying to build walls on soft sand. We feel we should have boundaries, but we don't have a deep internal reason why. This leads to weak, negotiable limits that are easily pushed over by others, leaving our inner fortress constantly under siege, our peace disturbed, and our self-respect eroded. The transformative solution is to understand that your core values define your personal boundaries. You do not invent your boundaries out of thin air. You discover them by excavating down to your most fundamental principles. The core Stoic idea here is that a life of integrity is a life where your actions are in alignment with your inner principles or virtues. Your values are not just nice ideas. They are operational commands for how you live. Your boundaries are simply the tangible, real-world expression of these values. They are the rules of engagement that you create to ensure you can live your life in accordance with what you believe to be good, just, and true. A boundary that is not connected to a deep value is merely a preference, and preferences are easily negotiated away. But a boundary that is a direct defense of a core value, like honesty, discipline, or respect, becomes a non-negotiable part of your character. It is no longer just a wall, it is a sacred line. To begin this foundational work, you must become the architect of your own character. The first actionable step is to dedicate time to a values clarification exercise. Sit down with a journal and write down a list of virtues you admire: honesty, courage, compassion, discipline, creativity, freedom. Circle the top 3 to 5 that resonate most deeply with you. These are your foundational pillars. Don't rush this process. This is the most important work you can do. The second step is to translate each value into a boundary principle. For example, if you value discipline, a boundary principle would be, I will protect my time for deep work and self-improvement from non-urgent distractions. If you value honesty, a principle would be, I will not participate in gossip or dishonest communication, and I will remove myself from situations where it is prevalent. The third step is to write these principles down. This act of writing makes them concrete and real. This is your personal constitution, the law of your inner kingdom. The benefits of building your boundaries on this bedrock of values are immense. Your boundaries will no longer feel arbitrary or selfish. They will feel like essential acts of integrity. You will find it much easier to say no with conviction because you are not just declining a request. You are upholding a core part of who you are. This creates a powerful consistency in your actions that earns deep and lasting respect from others. You become a man who is not just strong, but principled. You are no longer building walls on sand, but constructing an unbreachable fortress on the solid rock of your own character. Your practice for this lesson is to take 15 minutes this week to identify your top 3 core values. For each value, write one boundary principle that logically flows from it. This is the blueprint for your fortress. Once your boundaries are defined by your values, you need the inner strength to hold those lines under pressure. This strength is not aggression. It is a product of deep emotional discipline. Next, we will explore how emotional discipline builds the inner fortitude required to maintain your boundaries. To continue this journey, please subscribe to Stoic Dominion. Lesson 2. Emotional discipline builds inner fortitude. Imagine a sentinel standing guard on the fortress wall you have just designed. A stranger approaches the gate and demands entry. An undisciplined sentinel, ruled by his emotions, might react in one of two poor ways. If he is ruled by fear, the fear of conflict, of being disliked, of being seen as unkind, he might nervously open the gate against his orders, abandoning his post and betraying his kingdom. This is the doormat response. If he is ruled by anger, feeling his authority has been challenged, he might aggressively shout insults and escalate the situation unnecessarily, turning a simple request into a violent conflict. This is the dictator response. Both reactions are a failure of his duty. This is the inner conflict that sabotages our boundaries. We may know what our boundaries are, but we lack the emotional discipline to enforce them calmly. We oscillate between these two failure modes, either abandoning ourselves out of fear or attacking others out of resentment. The problem is that a lack of emotional control makes even the strongest walls useless. A fortress is only as strong as the warrior who guards its gates. Without emotional discipline, we become our own weakest link. The transformative solution is to understand that emotional discipline builds inner fortitude. This is the practice of training your emotional responses so that you can enforce your boundaries from a place of calm, centered strength, not from a place of fear or rage. The core Stoic principle here is apatheia, which does not mean apathy, but a state of being free from the disturbance of irrational passions. It is the ability to feel an emotion arise, like the fear of saying no or the anger at being tested, but to not be controlled by it. It is the freedom to choose your action rather than being a slave to your reaction. You can observe the emotion without acting on it. This allows you to respond to a boundary test like the Master Sentinel, with calm, firm, and unwavering resolve. Your action is guided by reason and duty to your principles, not by the chaotic storm of your immediate feelings. This composure is the very definition of inner fortitude. To develop this essential discipline, you must become the trainer of your own emotions. The first actionable step is to practice recognizing the emotion before you act. When someone tests a boundary, before you speak, simply notice the feeling that arises. Label it in your mind. Fear is present, or anger is present. This simple act of naming creates a crucial space between the feeling and your action, reminding you that you are the observer of the emotion, not the emotion itself. The second step is to have a calm-down protocol. When you feel a strong emotional charge, take one deep, slow breath before you respond. This is a powerful, practical way to interrupt the reactive impulse and allow your rational mind to catch up. The third step is to rehearse. Visualize a situation where a boundary of yours is likely to be tested. Imagine yourself feeling the fear or anger, but then see yourself taking a deep breath and responding with calm, firm language. This mental drill prepares your nervous system for the real event, making a calm response more likely. The benefits of developing this emotional discipline are profound. You will finally be able to hold your boundaries consistently, without crumbling under pressure or exploding with aggression. You will earn a reputation as a man who is not just strong, but stable and reliable. A man whose no is as calm and trustworthy as his yes. Your relationships will become clearer and less dramatic because you are no longer contributing to the chaos. Most importantly, you will build a deep trust in yourself. The trust of a king who knows his sentinels are disciplined, courageous, and loyal to the kingdom. Your practice is to identify one person or situation that typically triggers an emotional reaction when you try to hold a boundary. For your next interaction, your only goal is to notice the emotion and take one deep breath before you speak. That is the first rep in your fortitude training. Emotional discipline provides the calm to hold the line. But the act of holding that line often requires saying a simple, powerful word that many of us fear. Next, we will explore why true self-respect requires the courage to say no. Please like this video to help us build a community of strong, disciplined minds. Lesson 3. Self-respect requires saying no. Imagine you are given a small, finite amount of gold coins each morning. These coins represent your most precious, non-renewable resources: your time, your energy, and your focus. Throughout the day, people come to you asking for your coins. Some have legitimate needs, while others are simply careless with your treasure. The inner conflict arises from the belief that being a good or nice person means giving a coin to everyone who asks. This is the disease to please, a condition often mistaken for kindness, but which is actually rooted in a deep fear of rejection. You hand your coins out freely, afraid of disappointing people or being seen as selfish. The problem is that by the end of the day, you have no coins left for yourself. You have no time for your own purpose, no energy for your own well-being, and no focus for your own growth. Underneath the nice guy facade, a bitter resentment begins to brew. By trying to please everyone, you have disrespected your own life. You have treated your most valuable assets as if they were worthless. This constant depletion, born from an inability to say no, is a profound act of self-disrespect, and it silently drains your power and potential. The transformative solution is to internalize the truth that self-respect requires saying no. This is the understanding that saying no to an external request is often a way of saying yes to your own purpose and well-being. It is not an act of rejection, but an act of protection and prioritization. The core Stoic idea here is the wise management of your own resources. The Stoics knew that our time on this earth is finite and our energy is limited. A wise person, a person of self-respect, understands that they have a duty to allocate these precious resources deliberately in service of their highest values. Saying no is the essential tool that allows you to do this. It is the shield that protects your time, the fence that guards your energy, and the gatekeeper that preserves your focus for what truly matters. Each time you say a respectful no to a distraction, you are saying a powerful yes to your own life's mission. To master the art of the respectful no, you must practice it like any other skill. The first actionable step is to realize you do not need a valid excuse. "I am not available," or "that doesn't work for me," is a complete sentence. You are not obligated to justify your decisions about how you spend your life's energy to anyone. The second step is to be clear, calm, and concise. Avoid long, apologetic explanations that weaken your position and invite negotiation. A simple, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'll have to pass," is both respectful and final. The third step is to offer an alternative if you genuinely wish to. This shows goodwill without sacrificing your boundary. "I can't help with that project this week, but I could give you my thoughts on it for 10 minutes tomorrow morning." This maintains control over your own resources while still being helpful. The benefits of mastering no are the benefits of reclaiming your own life. You will immediately find yourself with more time and energy to invest in your goals, your health, and your relationships. The chronic feeling of being overwhelmed and resentful will begin to fade, replaced by a sense of calm control over your own schedule and commitments. You will earn more respect from others. This is a crucial paradox. Scarcity creates value. When your yes is a deliberate, protected resource, it means far more than a yes that is given away freely to anyone who asks. You are no longer a public utility whose resources are available to all, but a sovereign individual who allocates his precious assets with wisdom and purpose. Your practice for this week is to say no to one small, non-essential request. Say it calmly, say it clearly, and resist the urge to over-explain. Feel the power and self-respect that comes from protecting your own resources. Saying no is a cornerstone of self-respect, but it must be done with skill, firmly, but without creating unnecessary conflict. This requires a careful balance. Next, we will explore the art of being assertive without falling into the traps of aggression or guilt. Please comment below with one thing you are ready to say no to. Lesson 4. Assertiveness without aggression or guilt. Picture a warrior's stance. The The passive stance is slumped and weak, inviting attack and signaling a willingness to yield ground. The aggressive stance is overly tense, leaning forward, wasting energy and actively seeking a fight. But the assertive stance is different. It is balanced, grounded, and calm. The warrior stands tall, occupies his own space confidently, and holds his shield ready. He is not seeking a fight, but he is unapologetically prepared to defend his ground. He is a force of calm, centered strength that conserves energy for what truly matters. This is the inner conflict we face when communicating our boundaries. We get the stances wrong. Fearing conflict, we adopt a passive stance, communicating our needs in a weak, apologetic way that invites people to ignore them. Then, after our passive requests are repeatedly ignored, our resentment builds until we snap, lurching into an aggressive stance, attacking with anger and blame. We oscillate between being a doormat and being a bully, never finding the powerful middle ground of the assertive warrior. This leaves us feeling either powerless and resentful or guilty and out of control, having damaged the very relationships we were trying to preserve. The transformative solution is to learn the art of assertiveness without aggression or guilt. This is the skill of communicating your needs and boundaries with clear, confident, and respectful language. It is the verbal equivalent of the warrior's balanced stance. The core Stoic principle here is a blend of the virtues of courage and justice. Courage is required to speak your truth and stand up for your own needs. Justice is required to do so in a way that is fair, respectful, and does not infringe on the rights of others. Aggression is a loss of control, an emotional reaction born of weakness. Passivity is an abdication of self-respect, an act of injustice against oneself. Assertiveness is the rational, disciplined middle path. It is communicating, my needs and rights are important. Your needs and rights are also important. This is how we can interact respectfully. It is the most effective and honorable form of communication because it is rooted in mutual respect. To master this balanced communication, you must practice a specific formula, paying attention not just to your words, but your tone. The first actionable step is to use I statements instead of you statements. You statements sound like an accusation. You are always late. I statements express your own experience. I feel disrespected when our agreed-upon time is not met. This focuses on the issue without attacking the person. The second step is to state your need clearly and simply. I need us to be on time for our meetings. This is direct and unambiguous. The third step is to state the consequence or the boundary if the need is not met. If this continues to be an issue, I won't be able to schedule these meetings anymore. This is not a threat. It is a calm statement of the logical outcome. Critically, your tone must remain calm and neutral. An I statement delivered with a sarcastic or blaming tone is still an attack. Your calm tonality shows you are operating from a place of reason, not emotion. The benefits of mastering assertiveness are immense. You will find that you can resolve conflicts constructively instead of either avoiding them or escalating them. Your communication will become incredibly effective, as people will understand your needs and limits clearly. Your self-esteem will soar because you will be handling difficult situations with skill and integrity. You will be seen as a strong, fair, and respectful leader in your own life. You become the warrior who doesn't need to shout to be heard because his calm words carry the weight of his conviction. Your practice is to identify one situation where you tend to be either passive or aggressive. Rehearse a simple, assertive I statement you can use next time. I feel your emotion when the specific behavior occurs and I need your clear request. Practice saying it with a calm, even tone. Assertiveness is a powerful shield against direct challenges, but often the tests of our boundaries are not direct attacks, but subtle manipulations. To truly hold our ground, we must learn to see these disguised threats clearly. Next, we will learn to recognize manipulation in its many forms. We appreciate you liking and sharing these videos to support our work. Lesson 5. Recognizing manipulation in disguise. Imagine the gatekeeper of your fortress, the disciplined sentinel we spoke of earlier. He is trained to spot a direct assault, an army with banners flying. But a more insidious threat comes from the spy who approaches the gate disguised as a friendly merchant, a lost traveler, or even a messenger bearing gifts. The spy's goal is the same as the army's, to breach the walls and compromise the fortress. But his methods are subtle, based on deception and emotional appeals. This is the inner conflict we face with manipulation. We may have gotten good at setting boundaries against direct, aggressive demands, but we are often completely vulnerable to the disguised attacks. These are the guilt trips. I can't believe you won't help me after all I've done for you. The feigned helplessness. I just don't know what I'd do without you. The flattering appeals to our ego. You're the only one who is smart enough to help me with this. Or the veiled threats. A good partner would support me in this. The problem is that our emotional brain responds to the disguise, not the intent. We feel guilty or flattered or responsible, and we open the gate only to realize later that our boundary has been violated and our resources have been compromised. We are tricked into lowering our own defenses by someone appealing to our emotions rather than our reason. The transformative solution is to become a wise and discerning gatekeeper, skilled in recognizing manipulation in disguise. This is the practice of using your rational mind to look past the surface story of an interaction and analyze its underlying mechanics. The core Stoic tool for this is logic and the clear-eyed application of reason. Stoicism teaches us to be wary of appeals to passion, pity, guilt, flattery, fear, and to always bring the conversation back to the underlying facts and principles. A manipulative request is almost always wrapped in a thick layer of emotional fog. Your job is to use the wind of your reason to blow that fog away and see the request for what it truly is. Logic is the light that reveals the faulty wiring and hidden traps in a manipulative appeal. This is not about becoming cynical or paranoid. It is about becoming a clear thinker who refuses to be controlled by emotional leverage. To become this discerning gatekeeper, you must learn to spot the common tactics of manipulation. The first actionable step is to learn to recognize the emotional hook. When someone makes a request, pause and notice the primary emotion their words are designed to elicit in you. Is it pity, guilt, fear, flattery? Simply identifying the hook is often enough to disable its power over you. The second step is to gently ignore the emotional wrapping and respond only to the core request. For example, if someone says, "If you really cared about me, you would lend me the money," you can mentally discard the "if you really cared about me" part, the manipulative wrapping, and simply evaluate the core request. This person is asking for money. This allows you to make a rational decision based on your principles, not an emotional one based on the guilt trip. The third step is to ask clarifying questions. Manipulators thrive on vagueness. Asking simple, direct questions like, "What exactly are you asking me to do?" or "What is your plan for solving this?" can often cause the manipulative fog to evaporate under the bright light of scrutiny. The benefits of seeing through manipulation are profound. You will become immune to the power of guilt trips and emotional blackmail. You will preserve your time, energy, and resources for your own purpose, instead of having them siphoned away by the agendas of others. Your relationships will become healthier, as you will only engage with people who are willing to communicate directly and honestly. You develop a powerful spidey sense for disingenuous requests, allowing you to navigate the social world with wisdom and security. You are the wise gatekeeper who can distinguish a true merchant from a spy in disguise, ensuring the lasting safety of your inner kingdom. Your practice is to reflect on a time you felt manipulated, analyze the interaction, and identify the specific emotional hook that was used. Seeing the tactic clearly is the first step to becoming immune to it. Once we can see through the manipulations of others, we must complete our training by becoming immune to the most powerful judge of all, the court of public opinion. Next, we will learn the art of calm detachment from both praise and criticism. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss this crucial step. Lesson 6. Calm detachment from external approval. Imagine a great ship navigating a long voyage. The captain has a single ultimate authority that guides all his decisions, his compass, which points steadfastly to the North Star. This is his source of truth. Now imagine that on the deck of the ship, the passengers are all shouting conflicting advice. Sail east, the weather is better. Sail west, I see another ship over there. If the captain were to change course with every shout, he would be lost within an hour, his journey a failure. The inner conflict for many of us is that we are navigating the voyage of our lives, but we have made the shouting of the passengers our compass. We live in a state of constant attachment to external approval. We feel a surge of validation when praised and a sting of rejection when criticized. Our emotional state and our very direction in life are determined by the unpredictable and often contradictory opinions of the people around us. This mental habit is exhausting. We find ourselves constantly replaying conversations, worrying about how we came across, and feeling anxious about what people think of us. This is a recipe for a life of anxiety and inauthenticity. We lose our own true north and become a people pleaser, constantly adjusting our sails to catch the fickle winds of public opinion. The transformative solution is to practice calm detachment from external approval. This is the art of learning to treat both praise and criticism as nothing more than the background noise of the passengers, while keeping your own eyes fixed firmly on your own compass. The core Stoic principle here is the radical understanding that the opinions of others are external indifference. They are completely outside of your control, and therefore, from a Stoic perspective, they are irrelevant to your happiness and your worth. Your worth comes from your character and your commitment to your own virtuous path, your North Star. Detachment is not about being arrogant or ignoring feedback. The wise captain still hears the passengers. One of them might spot a reef he missed. The difference is that he doesn't confuse their shouting for his compass. He takes in all data, but navigates by his own instruments. Detachment is this proper discernment, knowing what data is essential, your values, and what is simply noise, opinions. To cultivate this unshakable inner compass, you must practice a new form of navigation. The first actionable step is to, when you receive praise, receive it gracefully but with a grain of salt. Say thank you, but silently remind yourself, this is pleasant, but it does not define my worth. My focus remains on the work. This prevents you from becoming a praise addict, constantly seeking your next hit of validation. The second step is, when you receive criticism, to act like a gold miner. Sift through the dirt and noise of the criticism to see if there's a tiny, useful nugget of truth you can use to improve. If there is, take it and be grateful. If there is not, let the rest wash away without a second thought, giving it no space in your mind. The third step is to practice negative visualization. Imagine being criticized harshly by someone you respect. Visualize yourself hearing the words, but remaining internally calm, anchored in the knowledge of your own values and intentions. This mental rehearsal prepares you for the real event. The benefits of this detachment are a profound sense of freedom and stability. You will no longer be on the emotional roller coaster of approval seeking. Your actions will become bolder and more authentic because you will be liberated from the fear of what other people will say. You will develop a solid, centered confidence that comes from within, not from the applause of the crowd. You become the master of your own vessel, a captain whose authority is absolute because he navigates by the unchanging stars, not by the shouting of the passengers. Your practice for this week is to receive one piece of feedback, whether positive or negative. Your goal is to simply say thank you for sharing that, and then deliberately turn your focus back to your own internal assessment of the situation. This detachment, this focus on our own compass, leads us to the ultimate reason we set boundaries in the first place. It is not just to protect our feelings, but to protect something far more valuable. In our final lesson, we explore how boundaries protect our energy and our purpose. Please share this video if you believe in the power of an internal compass. Lesson 7. Boundaries protect energy and purpose. Imagine a quiet fire burning steadily in the center of a sacred temple. This fire is the monks' most precious possession. It is the source of their light, their warmth, and the center of their spiritual practice. It is their purpose. To protect this fire, They have built strong temple walls. The walls are not there for their own sake. They exist for one reason only: to create a serene and protected space where the fire can burn brightly, shielded from the chaotic winds and rains of the outside world. Your purpose in life, your mission, your creative work, your personal growth is that sacred fire. Your energy, your time, your focus, your emotional and mental vitality is the fuel for that fire. This is where we confront the final and most important inner conflict regarding boundaries. We often think of boundaries as being about preventing annoyance or avoiding conflict, but their true higher purpose is far grander. Without strong boundaries, our sacred fire is constantly being diminished. The winds of other people's demands blow in. The rains of their drama and negativity dampen the flames. The wet logs of trivial distractions are thrown on top, smothering the blaze. Our fuel, our precious energy, is constantly being siphoned away to feed their small, temporary fires, leaving our own great fire to flicker and die. The ultimate solution is to understand and embody the truth that boundaries protect your energy and your purpose. This reframes boundary setting from a defensive act of self-protection to a noble and proactive act of devotion to your highest calling. The core Stoic idea is that the greatest good in life is to live a life of virtue and purpose, to become the best version of yourself and contribute to the world. Therefore, anything that distracts you from that purpose or depletes the energy you need to pursue it is a threat to your highest good. Setting a boundary is not selfish. It is a sacred duty to your own potential. You are protecting the temple so the fire can burn. You are saying no to a trivial distraction so you can say yes to your life's work. This is the why behind every boundary a high-value man sets. He is not just protecting his feelings, he is protecting his mission, the very thing that gives his life meaning and allows him to create something of value that might outlast him. To live in this way requires you to see your life as a sacred temple. The first actionable step is to get crystal clear on what your sacred fire is. What is the one thing that, if you dedicated your life to it, would bring you the most meaning? This could be your career, your art, your family, or your own self-mastery. Define it. This is what the walls are for. The second step is to conduct an energy audit. For 1 week, keep a log of the people and activities that drain your energy versus those that fuel it. This will show you exactly where the walls of your temple are being breached, where the drafts are coming from. The third step is to make one bold decision to protect your fire. This might mean quitting a committee, ending a draining friendship, or dedicating the first hour of every day to your most important work, with no interruptions allowed. This is an act of consecrating your temple. The benefits of protecting your purpose with strong boundaries are the benefits of an optimized and meaningful life. You will find yourself with an abundance of energy and focus to pour into what truly matters. Your progress towards your goals will accelerate dramatically. You will feel a profound sense of integrity and purpose, the feeling of a monk tending to a sacred flame. You will naturally attract people who respect your mission and are inspired by your devotion, and you will repel those who only sought to use your fire for their own warmth. Your life stops being a series of chaotic reactions and becomes a single, focused act of creation. Your final practice is a commitment. Identify the single biggest wind that is currently threatening your fire, the biggest distraction or energy drain in your life. Make a plan today for how you will build a wall to protect your fire from it. The boundaries of a high-value man are not born from anger or fear. They are the calm, logical, and necessary walls he builds around his life's purpose. They are a declaration of self-respect and a testament to a spirit that is not broken by the world, but is focused on building a better one. Thank you for dedicating your time to mastering this essential art. The discipline of building and maintaining your boundaries is the foundation of a life lived with power, purpose, and peace. If this guide has served you, please honor the work by liking the video, comment with one boundary you are now committed to setting, and subscribe to Stoic Dominion, where we will continue to explore the path to an unshakable life.